Hi everyone, this is Ryan from Uncanny Owl, and in this video I'm going to talk about a new plugin that we just introduced called the Uncanny LearnDash Toolkit. And what I want to do in this video is walk you through exactly how I would set it up on a new site, what the different functions do, and how to make sure it's configured so that it works easily and improves the learner experience on the site. So for this example, I am working with a pretty stock instance of a new WordPress site with LearnDash installed and a theme called Enfold also set up. I've just set it up with demo content, so there's really not very much here that is custom or even really configured. In fact, I only threw this site together in about an hour, so there's really not much here. And I want to show you that just before I get started, just so that you can see that this really is a clean site. There's very little that's been set up at this point. So if I go into the list of installed plugins, in fact, there are only 3 at this point. There's one to make it easier for me to clone out content. I use that for some of the pages and lessons very quickly. I've just got a quick variation for the LD profile shortcode, just so it's a little cleaner on the site. And then I've just got the LearnDash plugin itself installed. The next thing that I'm going to install is the Uncanny LearnDash Toolkit plugin. And you can see here that I've already set it up, and of course the version number is going to be different than when it goes in the repository, and it's going to be different because this is the first iteration. But this demo is largely going to be representative of what will be live and what will be available for the next couple of months. So hopefully it's at least a starting point and you can understand how the plugin generally works. So at this point I mentioned that it is very clean. I've set up very minimal demo content, but I still needed something so that I could show you how the site would work on different platforms. So in this case, I set up a quick learner dashboard. You can see I just clone an existing page, and this is just that LD dashboard shortcode that I'm using. You can see that it's very much stock styling. There's really nothing that I did. I didn't touch any of the styling, so this is really what you would get out of the box if you were to use this with the new LearnDash site. So let's head back to the admin dashboard, and I will go ahead and activate the new plugin so you can see what happens when we do activate it and how to set things up initially. So when I activate it, then it immediately takes me to the settings page. So there's a greeting here, and then it shows the available options. So for starting out, there are 10 features that are available. I'm going to walk through each of them during the screencast. And for each one, I want to spend a few minutes just walking through exactly what it does and how it would work and how it applies to you. So let's go ahead and turn this one on first. So this is the front end login. So I'll click that to turn it on, and then here is where I would set up the settings for it. So right now it's expecting a login page, and I had actually set something up really quickly before this demo, but let's go ahead and create a new one. So I'm just going to cancel out of that, but I do want to just save that so that it's turned on. So I saved that. What I want to do now is I want to create a page. I'm going to, actually let's edit this one that I set up. I wanted to show creating a new one, but it's just as easy to edit this existing one. And what I've done for this one is just clone an existing page. It had the information already up here, and all that I'm including there is this shortcode. So it's UO underscore login underscore UI. That's the shortcode that we're using there. So I will go ahead and I will update that. I didn't change anything though, actually. So the page is available now. You can see because I'm using Enfold, it's got the AVA Layout Builder, but it would really be the same thing if you were using another theme, whether it's just the stock WordPress editor, just drop the shortcode in, or if it's another builder, then you use a text block and use that shortcode there. So this shortcode's really special and important now. For the settings that we use in the toolkit, this page has to be identified. And the reason it does is because if there's any kind of issue with somebody trying to access something they're not supposed to access, or they're trying to reset password, or they're trying to do some other function, we need a page that can handle those issues. We don't want to rely on WP login, so this essentially replaces it. That's why it can only be one page. So when there's something like a failed password attempt, we have to go to a page that can handle the problems with login. That's where this shortcode comes in, and that's where over here on the toolkit side, we have to identify that page. So in this case, it is the login page. So login set there. We can go ahead and save that. It's been saved. Go ahead, save everything we've done. And now at this point, if I go to that page, it's better if I go to it too in, I'm going to use an incognito window. So I'm just going to copy that out. And I'm going to go to that page now. And I think I must have had a typo. There we go. Sorry about that. So I want to talk a bit too about what's been set up with the plugin. You can see it is populating that form from the shortcode. So it does have the information there. It's got it's prompting for the username and the password. It's got the forget your password capability. So we can reset it here. The shortcode takes care of all of that. If there are any kind of issues, there it goes. So you can see it does handle different cases. I'm going to go back to the regular page. But what I wanted to talk about here was that we didn't set up really any styling. So there's very little in the way of CSS, and that was intentional because wherever possible, we want to try to get it to inherit the styles on the site. And it should really copy what LearnDash is doing. So we want to just kind of inherit button styles, any other styles, so that it's consistent with what's happening elsewhere with LearnDash anyway. So that's where it's picking up this button from. In this case, it's the theme, which LearnDash would also be using, and you'll see that a bit later. So that's how this works. You can see if I put something in that's not valid, then it's going to show an invalid username and password message there. So it can handle the different variations, and you can see if I pull the address bar down that it's doing that automatically. And that's why we need both values populated. We need a page with a shortcode, and we also need that page to be selected in the LearnDash Toolkit settings. So it's very important that both of those things happen. So let's go back now, and you can see there's a last pass error happening. I'm not sure why that's happening. Anyway, so that one has been set up. What we haven't shown yet is manual user verification. So I'll just mention too, there is another shortcode for login forms. There's a variation without the UI at the end, so without the UI qualifier. That shortcode can be used on any page. So that one's safe to use anywhere you want on the site. And then if there's a wrong password or something like that, it would just redirect to the page specified here. But the other one's flexible. The UI shortcode, so the one with the UI, should only be used once on the site on a single page. And then we direct things there. But you can use the other shortcode wherever you want, as many times as you want. Manual user verification. I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. So let's turn that on. We will save settings. All right, so that's saved. Let's go ahead and save that. What that did by turning that on, if I go to the all users list now, you can see now there's a verified column and this user is not verified. So if I go into edit, then there is now, if I can find it there, there's a checkbox for verify this user and allow them to log in. So what's going to happen, this is helpful if users are able to self-enroll or self-register on the WordPress site. What happens in that situation is that the user will be created, but until an administrator approves the user, so they go in and click on verify user, that user cannot sign in. So we use that primarily on client sites that tend to be internal. So maybe they want to direct staff to sign up but aren't creating the accounts for them. So we might use that when it's a small number of users because it's relatively easy to manage then. Where you can go in here and you can check off that they're verified. It's a little more work when you're adding it for a lot of users. You could use an import tool. An import tool would be able to include the metadata that could set this, in the user meta table, and I won't go into that in this screencast, but you could certainly do that if you've got a large number of users. But so it's just really a simple way of adding some kind of verification so that you can control who gets access without having to register everyone yourself. So, and if I were to bring up my email, I would have received an email at this point telling me that I'm verified. Just be a little careful with this one because you do need to verify administrator users as well. So for your user in particular, you want to make sure that it's verified because there is a risk of locking yourself out if you're not verified and sign out and there are no verified users in the system, especially administrators that can verify users. If that does end up happening and you're not sure what to do about it and you've got a problem there, what you can do is just temporarily disable the Uncanny Toolkit plugin, and you can do that by briefly renaming the folder that it's in, going to WordPress, and then after you're in again, you can just rename it back, then activate the plugin again, and then you're able to verify the user. So if you get into any trouble with that, that's one way of making sure you can get back in. So you can use that. It's available there, but there is some risk involved with that. But it's a simple way of adding verification. So let's go back to the next item in the list. And this is the hide admin bar. So we'll turn that on. And when we do that, we're able to now choose which roles in the system shouldn't have access to the admin bar. And just for clarification, the admin bar is this black bar up here that has the howdy first name. It's got the information there so that you can get into the profile. Usually we don't like that enabled on sites. We don't want any users getting into the WordPress backend. So yes, it's locked down. They can only edit their profile, but at the same time, we just don't want them in there, and we don't want that black bar on the tops of pages. So normally for any sites that we're setting up, we would check off subscriber, customer, and that could be it actually. So I'll save those. Let's go ahead and update that. Make sure that's turned on. And now if I were to create a new subscriber, for example, so this would be a regular learner, then we can make sure that they don't see that admin bar at the top. So that one I'm not going to demo because it would take a little bit of time, and it's pretty straightforward. But let's move on to the resume button. The resume button is pretty interesting. So let me just make sure that I have the right shortcode. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on and save changes again. So again, just turning these things on, that means the shortcodes become available because when they're off, the code gets ignored for these pieces just to keep performance at the maximum. So we don't want to run any more code than is absolutely necessary. So we only turn it on when it's needed. The performance hit is going to be extremely negligible, but at the same time, why expose the code anyway unless we absolutely need to? So that's why we leave it off unless we're actually going to use it. So for this example, I'm going to go back to my dashboard page, and I don't know if I have that in a tab. I do. Okay, so I'm just going to refresh because I'm not sure how long it's been open for. I think it's been a few minutes. You can see this is actually I don't want to use this page. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back to another page because I'd set that one up earlier, and I'm going to change this dashboard page instead. So let me go into that one because it has the styling at the top. And what I want to do, I'm just going to move this up a bit. Just thinking, so I've got the dashboard down there. I'm just going to keep it simple actually. What I'll do is I'll just put the button on top for resuming where you left off. So the shortcode for this one, I believe, is UO. And let me make sure that works. It might be underscores. I'm going to check right after this. So I'll go ahead and update that. Let's go ahead and view the page again now. Okay, so as you can see, it's not showing anything yet. And until I turn that on, of course, the shortcode has not been tracking what I've been doing. So at this point, there's no history, so it doesn't know what I last did. So let me just go through some quick sample things here. I'm just going to go back to the dashboard now. So I'll click on My Courses. So now I was in Lesson A, and you can see that button is now available. So it wasn't before because I hadn't done anything. Obviously, this looks terrible, but it looks terrible because we haven't done any kind of styling. Again, on your own site, you'd be managing the layout. This would probably be on the right or something. There might be some kind of personal greeting on the left. But this is just a demo. So you can see it took me right back to where I left off. So that's the last thing I did. Let's go back to the courses now. Actually, let me show you with another example. So let's say I go to the lesson with quiz. So I'm at this lesson now. I've loaded that. I go back to my courses. So this is the dashboard. It's got the resume button here. When I click resume now, it knows that the last thing I did was go to this page. So that is how the resume button works. Let's go back and check out the next function. So if I go back into the toolkit, what I want to do now is turn on LearnDash groups and user profiles. So I'm going to turn that on and click on Save Changes. So at this point, I don't have any LearnDash groups set up. So that's the first thing I need to do. It's not going to show groups if I don't have any available. So let's go ahead. I'm going to create a new group and I'm going to add myself to it. So I'm going to call it Sample for Screencast. And then down here, I'm going to add myself to it. I'm the only user in the system. So let's go ahead and publish that. So that'll create the LearnDash group and it's going to add me to it. So that's good. Now if I go to my profile, and this works the same if you're going into any other user. If I go down here, there's now a row called LearnDash groups, and it's going to show a list here of all the groups that this user is in. So in this case, it's my user. But if it was a regular subscriber, it would work the same way, and it would show a list of every single group that they were in. So if you're trying to figure out why somebody has access to a course, you can go into here, see their list of groups, and then kind of cross-reference against the group permissions. So that is the LearnDash groups function. And now let's take a look at the login redirects. So what I want to do is when somebody signs into the site, I want to direct them to the dashboard page. So dashboard is /dashboard. So what I'm going to do is on this tab, I'm going to open the settings. I'm going to say, when somebody signs in, go to the dashboard page. So we'll save that, and we will save that. Now, it's not going to work properly for this user, so in this case, I'm just going to demo it with a subscriber, and you'll remember from this one that I set it up so subscribers wouldn't see the admin bar. So I'm going to create a new subscriber user. That's step one, and the next thing I want to do after that is sign in with that user. So I am going to create a new user that's a subscriber, and I'm going to call that user Screencast. So I'll use Screencast and Screencast. So we'll use that. I need to remember that. And I'm going to set it up actually here with a first name and last name, just in case I demo the certificates. So I'm going to copy that. I'll send an email, and that user now has an account. Of course, I think, yeah, we still have user verification enabled, so that user can't sign in yet. So in order for them to sign in, as long as verification is active, I need to go in here and say verify this user and allow them to log in. So that is done. Now if I go back into another incognito window, so I'll take a second and do that, and we'll go back to the WooCommerce site. And that is not the right site. Let me go to this site, and we will go to login. So there's the login page. So the username there was Screencast, and I'm going to paste in the password that I set up. So it did sign me in. You can see there's no admin bar at the top here. So that was successfully disabled. it took me immediately onto the My Courses page. You can see it's using the dashboard. Redirect here, and now I've got my courses down here. So everything worked there the way it was supposed to. So that is good. And now I'm going to go back to the next one. So we're over halfway there now. The next thing, Topics Autocomplete Lessons. And I should have set up an example for this. I did not. I'm going to turn it on. Let's set that up together. So for this one, I need a lesson with 2 topics in it. So what I will do there is I will set up a new topic, and they'll both be associated with lesson B. So I'm going to say this one is topic 1. It's not going to have any content. Everything I've set up is sorted by menu order in ascending order. So I'm going to say this one's 10, just so I can keep it in order. So that's the first one. And I need to scroll down here, make sure it's part of course A and lesson B, and go ahead and publish that. And now we want to do the same thing with topic 2. So let's go and create a topic 2. And I want at least 2, just so I can show you what's going to happen, and that it only applies after the last topic in the lesson is completed. So there we go. Oh, I forgot to set up the associations. That was my mistake. So course A and lesson B. And I will update that. When I update that, they've both been created. If I go ahead and view them, but I don't want to create or complete them as this user. So what I think I'll do, let me just check that. I just want to make sure when I sign in as the other user that the other user sees all of that. I just want to see, why am I not seeing topic 2? So let's quickly edit that, make sure all the associations are correct. Okay, that's good. 20. Okay, yeah, they're both correct. So let me just switch back to the other user. Okay, so I'm going to go into lesson B. So you can see the 2 topics are here. What I want to do now is complete topic 1. And when I complete topic 1, normal behavior is to take you to topic 2, because that's next. And now I'm on topic 2, so it's navigated to that automatically. Now, normal behavior when I create or complete topic 2 in LearnDash is to take me back up to lesson B. And then on lesson B, you can see if I go there now, there's no option to mark it complete, and it's showing the topic is incomplete. So it would normally take me back up to the lesson, which I would have to complete, and then completing that would take me to the next lesson. But this feature that we added in the plugin, when I mark it complete now, so mark topic 2 is complete. So you can see, instead of taking me back up to lesson B, it took me forward to lesson with quiz, the next lesson, and it auto-completed lesson B. So it just saves an extra step, so there's no need to go in to the lesson a second time, so you're viewing it twice, and then figuring out, okay, it took me back here because I still have to complete or mark this lesson as completed. So it skips that step. That's how it works. So let's move forward to the next feature in the toolkit. And the next one we want to look at is menu item visibility. And this one is really important. I'm actually going to create a new session. So what I'll do is I'll turn this on just so I can show you the difference. Okay, so that's been turned on now. And then if I go over to Appearance and Menus now, so over in the menu now, if I expand the menu entries, you can see that new options have appeared for the display mode. That means who gets to see these menu entries. So in the case of this My Courses page that links to the dashboard page that I set up, or the My Courses entry, what we can do is make this available only to logged in users. So by clicking that, and saving it. So I'll go ahead and save the menu structure. I'm just going to open the site up again in a new incognito window, and we'll see what happens to the menu. So you can see now there is no My Courses menu entry. But when I'm signed in, so let's go back out to the front end for this site, you can see I do see My Courses because I'm signed in. So by default, the menu entries are going to be visible to both signed in and signed out users. But by toggling that setting, you can make some marketing things only available to signed out users, and some course or profile or account specific things only available to signed in users. And that's how that works. So if we go back to the plugin now, I'm going to go back to the toolkit. The next item here is Show LearnDash Certificates. So I'm going to turn that on, and I will save the changes. And I haven't really set up a good page to display that list of certificates. What we'd normally do is have a sidebar. And actually, yeah, maybe that's, no, I don't want to use the sidebar because we have a different widget for that. So what we could do here is we could have it on like the course dashboard page or the learner dashboard, and have it displayed there in a list, but then we'd probably want some columns set up, and I haven't set up any columns. So I'm just going to drop it on the page again just so you can see how it does work. First I need to grab the shortcode. So the shortcode for this one is UO-Learn-Certificates, and let me just copy that in there. So I'm just going to grab that. And let's go back to the dashboard page that I set up. So here's the dashboard. We'll go ahead and edit that. And on the page, so far we have the resume button, we've got the dashboard, shortcode that we added, and then at the top of that, actually, I'm going to put some more space in there. And here I'm going to drop in that. And you can add more attributes, so you can include a class if you wanted and a title, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to drop it in so you can see how it works out of the box. So let's go ahead and save that, and we'll update that page. And then I want to open that up in a new tab again. So at the top, we've got the resume button, then the certificates list. There we go. Oh, and sorry, I had actually changed something on the resume button, and I'll just go in so we have that back there. So you can see there is some progress again because I'd accidentally deleted progress outside of the screencast. Let's go back to this page so you can see here's the button again. Here I have only completed the single quiz. So I know it doesn't look good, but again, it's just about presenting the data so that you're able to make customizations. So this maybe isn't the best example because I only have the single quiz set up, and it's only going to retrieve the most recent certificate for that. So you can see it is pulling it in there. It is available, so when I do click that, then it's going to open that up. So again, this is a super basic certificate. But the point is just showing you how to expose that so that if you want to add something, it's really easy to make them available. So let's go back now to the next item that we set up. And the next thing that we set up is showing and hiding content for users based on their signed in state. So if I turn this one on, then that makes two shortcodes available. The first, well, they're the same shortcode, it's just you can have a logged in or a logged out attribute. So we've turned that on. I'm going to go back to the same page again. Let's just keep working with the dashboard. So on the dashboard page, I'll click on Edit. And what I want to do here, page is pretty short. I know I'm still working with a single element. Let's go ahead and put this one after the dashboard shortcode that lists the enrolled courses. So here I'm going to use an example of the show or hide content shortcode. So let me just copy that shortcode in. So what this is saying is show this content to signed in users only. So I'm going to say congratulations, you're signed in. And then I will close that like that. And beneath that, I'm going to add another one. And I'll change this one to, I think my quotes are actually wrong here. I shouldn't have copied that. So I'm going to change this one to logged out. There we go. And I'm going to say, please sign in to access. There we go. And I'll close that one out. Now let's go ahead and save that. And we'll click on Update. And now I want to view the page again. So I'm going to open that up. Right now I'm signed in. So if I view that, I should say, congratulations, you're signed in. And I'm going to take the same URL. And right now I'm going to open it up again in an incognito window. So I'll paste that URL in there. And there you can see there's no resume button because the user's not signed in. There's nothing to resume. There's no dashboard shortcode because the user's not signed in, so they're not enrolled in anything. And the other one we had was the certificates shortcode. And of course, we can't show certificates if the user's not signed in because we don't know what they've completed. So the only thing that shows up here is the message to please sign in. So if we go back again, you can see exactly how that was all set up. So it's an easy way, especially if you have open courses, of a way of having some kind of call to action or sign up link or something, some explanation even about how to access the course content. You can show that for logged out users. And then for logged in users, you can show the different content as well. Now with LearnDash, there are the student and visitor shortcodes that can potentially work, but this adds a bit more flexibility. And we can strictly do it by signed in state rather than looking at whether or not they're enrolled in the course. So it's an alternative to that. And the last thing we're going to look at as part of the toolkit is the Certificate Widget. So what I'll do there is turn on the Certificate Widget. And by doing that, when I go back to the list of widgets, so Appearance and then Widgets, it's going to show me a list of the sidebars that I've got set up so far. So right now there's the one that's got the navigation elements for LearnDash. And what I want to do there is I want to add the certificate widget that we set up. So if I drag that one over, Certificates Uncanny Toolkit, that's the one. I'm just going to make that capitalized. And you need to put a message in here. Well, you can optionally put one in there if you want to change the default. So something that says, if you haven't completed any certificates, what message do you want to show? And that can go in there. So we'll go ahead and save that. And now if I go to the front end again, so I'm going to drill down in, I'm going to go to the learner dashboard that I set up here, and then go into the course page here. And then at that point, you can see, oh, right, all these were capitalized anyway, so I didn't need the initial cap. But still, at least it's consistent now. So there's the title that we set up. There's the list of certificates. So it works the same way as the shortcode. It's just set up as a widget, so it's easy to drop in there as a widget. So that covers the Uncanny LearnDash toolkit. We've gone through all of the different functions that are available at this point and how to use them. And we're hoping you find some value in them, and definitely encourage you to use them and to try the things out. It is, again, pretty dependent on you setting up shortcodes and making sure things are configured properly. It's not quite as easy as installing the plugin and everything's going to work automatically for you. There is still some configuration. It's just meant to make some LearnDash things easier, and so you don't need to rely on quite as many plugins. So thanks for watching this screencast, and we hope you enjoy the plugin.